We are just one sleep away, ladies and gentlemen. One sleep away from the 2024 NFL Draft being kicked off. We've been talking about it on this channel for months at this point. And I'm going to go through my final 7-round mock draft for the New York Giants as I try to get an A-plus draft grade from you guys. First, though, if you are ready for the NFL Draft, I know I am. A little bit tired of talking about all the possibilities. I'm ready to talk about the players the Giants have drafted and how they're going to make this football team better. If you're ready to see that, hit that thumbs up icon for me. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Shout out to everybody in the building. 24, 28, whenever you're watching, 30 hours away. We've put a lot of prep in this draft. We've done a lot of research. We've done a lot of studying. I'm ready for it to be here, and I'm ready to see who's going to help this football team. Reminder, the Giants have 6 picks in the 2024 NFL Draft. They own the 6th pick in round 1. They own pick 47 in round 2, 70 in round 3, 107 in round 4, 166 in round 5, and 183 in round 6. Let's get it going. Round 1, pick 1, Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. It's done. That's a done deal. I also think Jaden Daniels, going number 2 to the Washington Commanders, is a done deal. I did this mock draft through the Pro Football Focus Simulator, so if you're mad at the picks, be mad at them. Number 3, Drake May goes to the New England Patriots. So it's quarterback, and make it another quarterback because the Minnesota Vikings traded up with the Arizona Cardinals in this mock draft. They gave up pick 11, pick 23, and a future first-round pick to move up for the Michigan man, J.J. McCarthy. And then the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock, and they selected Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't believe that the Chargers will select Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe they would trade down in this situation, or they would just select Joe Alt. But I didn't make those picks. It was PFF. So now Giants are on the clock. Top 4 QBs are gone. Top receivers gone. And you get to walk into the easiest pick of the draft. With the number 6 overall pick and Marshall's final mock draft, I am selecting wide receiver from the Bayou LSU Tiger, Malik Nabers. Love this pick. I am a huge fan of Malik Nabers. He is a special player. He is everything that the Giants have been missing at the wide receiver position since Odell Beckham Jr. left this football team. He is electric with the ball in his hands. He is a matchup nightmare for defenses, and anytime he's got green grass in front of him, he might just go the distance. 6 foot, 200 pounds, and only 20 years old. 20 years old. He is only going to get better and better as his NFL career goes on. And that's what he did last year and the year before in the SEC. He got better and he got better. 72 grabs in 2022. He upped that to 89. More than 500 more receiving yards. Yards per catch go from 14.1 to 17.6. 11 more touchdowns and 589 yards after contact. He's like a running back when he has the ball in his hands after a catch. He forced 30 missed tackles last season. That was the number 4 highest rank in FBS last year. He had 19 deep catches, number 2 in college football. He had 624 deep yards, 3rd in college football. And you might say, well, he's just a guy that catches the ball on screens and in the flat and get north and south. Not true at all. He plays bigger than what he was at the scale, and he's got strong hands, and he knows how to attack the ball at its highest point. 10 contested catches for him as well. Freak athlete. 6 foot, 200 pounds, a 42-inch vertical. That grades out in the 99th percentile. A broad jump graded out in the 94th percentile. A 4.35 40 at his pro day, 97th percentile. And an overall grade, when it comes to his RAS score, relative athletic score, of the 98th percentile amongst all wide receivers. And you look at this Giants wide receiver depth chart, and we can all agree that they need to improve there. And Malik Nabers would be a massive step and a great addition. I know there's some people that like Odunze. I'm a Nabers guy. I want the separator. I want the more dynamic athlete Give me Nabers. I like Odunze. I've just got Nabers a little bit ahead of him. Let's go to round 2 with the 47th pick in my final mock draft. I'm selecting the defensive tackle from Florida State, Braden Fiske. This was just too good of value for me to pass up on. I don't love that he's already 24 years old, but it's a position of need, and he was my highest rated player available. I've got a late day 1 grade on Braden Fiske, and you get him at pick 47, position of need, havoc creator. He would be a great addition to this already somewhat stacked defensive line. You look at what he did at Florida State last year and the prior 3 years at Western Michigan. 43 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 28 pressures, 48 pressures, 33 pressures, 6 sacks, 4 sacks. He can line up anywhere on the defensive line, and kind of a theme that I went with in this draft class, a freak athlete. His RAS score graded him out at the 98th percentile of all defensive tackles. He ran a 4.7 40 at 292 pounds, 6'3". His 10-yard split, 96th percentile. 20-yard split, 96th percentile. His short shuttle, 96th percentile. His broad jump, 97. His vertical jump, 95th percentile. He is a very, very gifted athlete, but he also plays like his hair is on fire. He is someone that can create havoc at the line of scrimmage. He can get in the backfield, and you pair him up alongside Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau, and then you're starting to cook with some grease on your defensive line. That would be the new identity, and that would be the DNA of this football team. I'm a huge fan of Braden Fiske. I know there's some people that aren't the biggest fan of him, but I am. And I think that he was the best player available, and it was one of the biggest positions of need for me. I'm a fan, and I'm glad that he is going to be a player that I am selecting in my final mock draft. We stay on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm now going to go to another need. Kind of drafted for need a little bit in this mock draft. With the 70th selection in the 3rd round, I'm selecting the cornerback from Kentucky, Andru Phillips. So you get a starting receiver, a starting DT, and in my opinion, a future starting outside corner. This is one of my guys in this draft class. You put on the tape, and I just see a player that's ready to compete at the highest level. Does he sometimes get beat? Yeah, he played in the SEC. He went against some of the best receivers in college football. But the competitiveness, the feistiness, just the way that he attacks the game is something that I really love in my type of corners. 48 tackles last year, 5 pass breakups, just 22 years old. You look at what he did when it comes to his pre-draft testing. 5'10", 190 pounds, so a little bit undersized, but I don't really think that that's a red flag for me. Ran a 4.4 40, a 42-inch vertical, an 11-foot broad jump, both the vertical and broad jump testing out in the 99th percentile. That shows me he is explosive and he can get going. His short shuttle, not that great, 47th percentile. But this is a guy that my eyes just didn't lie when I watched the tape. And the stats, I feel like, don't necessarily reflect the type of player that he is either. I think he's a sticky corner. I think he fits great into the Shane Bowen defense, not afraid to come up and put his head in the smoke and make a tackle. I'm a fan of his, and I think he's got outside starting potential as a corner, but he can also slide in that slot position. He's got some versatility as well. And as we all know, the Giants need to improve their cornerback depth chart. This allows for a guy like Nick McLeod to go back into the slot, to compete with Cordell Flott. And you got Deonte Banks and Andru Phillips as your starting outside corners for the foreseeable future, with still a need for maybe a veteran in that room. 2 picks straight on defense, but now we're going back in the trenches and we're talking offense. If you've watched this show, you know that I believe the offensive line is not done being built. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to select the best guard on the board that was on the board when the Giants were on the clock at pick 107, and that's interior offensive lineman Christian Mahogany out of Boston College. He's a right guard, played a little bit of right tackle this past year, but he is a guard through and through. 6'3", 322 pounds, 23 years old, a very physical run blocker. Sometimes struggles in pass protection a little bit, but I think that's more of a technique thing for him. And I'm hoping that if he gets to work with Carmen Brasillo, he'll be able to fix some of those things. I don't love his hand placement, but he's got massively long arms. He's got a long wingspan, and I think he is literally kind of like built perfectly to play the guard position. I like his feet, violent at the punch point, just needs to clean up, in my opinion, his hand placement and really his overall pass blocking technique. But he only allowed 0 sacks last year, 0 quarterback hits, 7 hurries, was penalized 5 times. PFF gives him an overall grade of 74.9. And I love it. And I love it. Job's not finished when it comes to this offensive line. I know you went out and you signed John Runyon and Aaron Stinney and Jermaine Illuminor and Austin Schlottman. But you know what? What happens if Evan Neal struggles and you got to bounce Illuminor out to right tackle? You could slide in Mahogany in that right guard spot. I'm a fan of his. I think he's going to be a productive player in this league for a long time, and I believe you got to continue to build up that offensive line. We've got a couple more picks to make in my final mock draft, but you should go to chatsports.com/Burns. Chatsports.com/Burns and get yourself a Brian Burns jersey. He's wearing number 0. I don't know why it says 00 on their site, but it will come in a single 0. Get your Brian Burns jersey today. They're starting to sell out of some sizes. If you want it for week 1, go to chatsports.com/Burns. With pick number 166 in Marshall's mock draft, we stay on the offensive side of the ball, and we're trying to hit a home run here. Trying to hit a home run and get the athletic tight end. One of the faster risers in this class is Theo Johnson out of Penn State. 6'6", 264 pounds, and I just love the upside that he provides. I think he's someone that may need a little bit of development. Maybe he comes in as your tight end too, but I think down the line, he could be someone that puts a lot of pressure on defenses. He can attack that seam, and he's one of the most athletic tight ends of all time that tested at the NFL Combine. The relative athletic score for him is 9.93. That means he is in the 99th percentile of all tight ends that have tested at the Combine. 6'6", 260 pounds, a vertical jump of 39.5, 98th percentile, a 96th percentile broad jump, 4.5 40, 95 percentile, a short shuttle, 92 percentile, athletic freak, traits, high-end upside, someone that I would love to add to this offense. Not the most production in the Big Ten the past couple of years, playing for the Nittany Lions, but I believe that a lot of players that play at Penn State are kind of underutilized. They're always some of the most athletic players in the draft, but for me, I think the Giants need to go out and address the tight end position. If you can get Theo Johnson at this spot, that would be a great pick. You look at the tight end depth chart. We don't have Jack Stoll pictured on here. That's on me, but this is what it looks like. Darren Waller, Daniel Bellinger, Chris Manhertz, Jack Stoll from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Tyree Jackson, who was on your practice squad last year. I've heard it's probably going to be a retirement for Darren Waller. Nothing official on that, but whether he's here or he's not, the long-term need for a tight end on this roster is there. And a guy like Theo Johnson with high-end traits could make a lot of sense. Another offensive player, maybe a theme here. More offensive playmakers. That's what they need. One of the worst offenses in NFL history last year. With pick number 183 in Marshall's final mock draft, I am selecting the workout warrior, Isaac Guerendo, the running back out of Louisville. 6'1". We've got him here at 225. I thought he cut some weight for the Combine to run a little bit faster. I thought he played heavier than what he weighed in at the Combine. 23 years old. Don't love that, but traits. High-end athleticism, prototypical size. I think he would be a good pick. You're getting him at pick 183. You'll go how he tested out the Combine. I misspoke. I said he weighed in at 200. It was 221 at the Combine, so apologize for that. But he's an athletic freak. At 6 foot 221, the guy ran a 4.3 340, 99th percentile. His vision scares me a little bit. I think he's still a little rough around the edges when it comes to vision and timing and slow to and fast through. But in a system where he could get out on the edge and you just use his vertical speed while also possessing the power to run through arm tackles, I think it makes a lot of sense. And he's an underrated pass catcher as well. I think he could be an immediate contributor on third downs. And I like the two-headed workhorse of him and Devin Singletary. So I think that makes a lot of sense there. Not a lot of tread on the tires either. Has had some injuries in his career that I am a little bit worried about. But in round 6, pick 183, I'm trying to hit a home run. I'm betting on traits, And look, there's nobody I'd rather bet on at this spot than him. The athletic upside is awesome, but the injuries do concern me. Missed 8 games in 2019, missed the final 6 in 2020, missed the final 9 in 2021. Relatively clean injury-wise the last 2 years, but prior to that, some flags there when it comes to that. The running back depth chart for the Giants is as follows, with Devin Singletary, Gary Brightwell, Eric Gray, Ja'Shawn Corbin, Dante Miller, and Deion Jackson. So that is how I round out my final mock draft for the Giants. Round 1, Malik Nabers. Round 2, Braden Fiske. Round 3, Andru Phillips. Round 4, Christian Mahogany. Or not round 4, I'm sorry. Pick 4, Christian Mahogany. Pick 5, Theo Johnson. And pick 6, Isaac Guerendo. I like this draft. I really do. A lot of my guys in this draft. Athletic upside and people that I think can step in and play at positions of need. But doesn't matter what I think. You guys are the ones that are going to let me know what you think, and that's what I love. Grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the mock draft for me. Whip it out. Talking about your red pen to grade this mock draft. Get your mind out of the gutter. I give it a B+. B+. With the potential to be an A. You need some of these draft picks to hit, but I think it's one of my better mock drafts that we've done, all up to the way that the board falls. I use Pro Football Focus. That's not how it's going to go in real life. I get that. Maybe Theo Johnson's not there when the Giants are picking at the spot they're going to. Overall, I give it a B+, but you guys are the teachers in this assignment. Make sure you are following me on social media as well. It's at @MarshallGreen_ on Instagram as well as Twitter. So hit me up over there. And let's go Big Blue.